A matching market is an accepted labor market design pairing employees with employers or students with schools. A matching market has been developed for professional sports, the tiered salary system. The tiered salary system addresses many challenging issues in professional sports, such as the risk of long-term contracts and the departure of star players from loyal fans. A matching market can also benefit collegiate sports, pairing recruits with schools. A matching market would have a number of advantages. It would align the recruiting process so everyone would be on the same timeline. Players would have exposure to more programs, and programs would have exposure to more players. It would provide a more seamless solution than the current portal for players wishing to transfer programs. A matching market also addresses the controversy regarding athletes choosing schools based on name, image, and likeness money. A matching system would mitigate the influence that NIL collectives have on recruiting. Very importantly, this assumes there is consensus that athletes should not be choosing schools based on NIL money. This discussion has two parts. The first part will describe the mechanics of the collegiate matching market, including how it mitigates the influence of NIL money. The second part will present a restructured process for recruiting, with a matching market as the final step. Since football involves such large numbers of players, it will be used as the example sport. The collegiate match would have only one tier as opposed to the multi-tiered professional version. A full athletic scholarship represents a single level of compensation for student athletes. One level of compensation requires only one tier in the match. A cash stipend can be added if desired. As in professional sports, the matching market provides a process for selecting player, but does not determine the value of players. The selection process for the collegiate match is like any single tier of the professional match. Every rank list is confidential. The players submit their rank lists before the match, though there is no current team to default to the top of the list. Schools select players in real time using a computer interface. Every player who applied to a school is listed on that school's interface. Everyone on the player list starts as green status, meaning available for selection. At the start of the match, every program starts selecting players simultaneously. The computer knows which players every school has selected, which schools have priority over other schools, and how many vacancies each school has left to fill. A player's status becomes blue if he is selected by any team lower than the number one school on his rank list. A player's status becomes gold if he is selected by the school which is number one on his rank list. A player can also become gold if he has blue status with a school, and all schools higher on his rank list fill their positions with other players. There will be no contracts, written, oral, or implied, between programs and players before the match. Players may not make agreements about ranking programs. Programs may not make promises regarding player selections. There will be no agreements regarding ranking or selections tied to NIL money. The match immediately produces two key benefits. The first is that it will regulate the timeline for recruitment. The match takes place at a specific time. No player needs to commit to a program early, and every program has its roster set on a scheduled date. There is no drawn-out process of commitment and decommitment. The match also decreases the influence that NIL money has on recruitment. To understand how this works, we need to take a closer look at matching markets and apply them to collegiate sports. The first significant matching market was the National Residency Matching Program. It was created in 1952 and has been successfully used ever since to pair medical school graduates with residency programs. At the time the matching market was created, there were fewer medical school graduates than residency programs. Medical school graduates were in high demand. Residency programs adopted the strategy of contacting medical students months before graduation and offering them a residency, which they had to accept immediately or lose the position. Medical students had the dilemma of accepting a guaranteed residency or risk waiting for a better offer, which may or may not occur. The answer was the matching market. The matching market calls for residency programs and graduates to determine their preferences in advance. These preferences are submitted in writing in the form of a rank list. An algorithm pairs graduates and residency programs to the best advantage for both parties. Two strategies became important and accepted for both residency programs and graduates. Number one, list your choices in the true order of your preference. There is no harm in ranking a choice that you are unlikely to get. Number two, keep your options open. It always benefits you to have programs or graduates rank you as high as possible, even if they're not a top choice. Sometimes you match lower on your rank list than expected. These strategies would apply to a matching market for collegiate sports, though teams select real-time on a computer interface. To see how this affects NIL money in collegiate sports, let's look at 3 programs in the Big Ten. We'll refer to Ohio State as an elite program. Michigan State and Purdue are solid programs, somewhere in the middle of the nation's top 50. All 3 schools are interested in recruiting Johnny Jones. Let's also assume Purdue's NIL collective has 6 lucrative contracts to offer potential recruits. Based on the football programs, Johnny's order of preference is Ohio State, Michigan State, and Purdue. Before the NIL era, Johnny would simply accept the scholarship offer he preferred most, Ohio State in this case. In the current era, Purdue's NIL collective might offer Johnny a contract, hoping that will convince him to sign with Purdue. If Johnny turns down Purdue's offer and signs with another school, Purdue's collective can still reach out to other players until it finds a player who will accept its offer. The incentive structure in a matching market interferes with this scenario. Matching at Ohio State or Michigan State is not certain, so Johnny wants to keep Purdue as an option. Even if he is ranking Ohio State and Michigan State ahead of Purdue, Johnny will not turn down Purdue's NIL offer. Johnny is incentivized to maintain Purdue's interest. There is a very real possibility that Johnny matches at some other school higher on his rank list, which means he won't match at Purdue despite the NIL offer. With the current system, Purdue can offer contracts to as many players as it needs to, so recruiting success is virtually assured. With a matching market, Purdue can offer each contract to only one player, making success unlikely. Purdue's NIL collective is facing a problem of numbers. The top 50 programs in the country recruit 1,000 players per year. Being in the middle of the top 50, most of Purdue's recruits would be ranked in the middle of those 1,000. Players who would be targeted by Purdue's collective would be at or above Purdue's typical recruiting range. Purdue's collective must find 6 players who will change their rank list due to Purdue's offer of NIL money. If players accepted or rejected Purdue's NIL offer right after receiving it, the collective would be able to sift through players until it found those who would rank Purdue number 1. However, in a matching market, every player wants to keep his options open. Players won't accept or reject Purdue's offer. They will simply hold it through the match. This keeps Purdue from offering contracts to more players. In a real matching market, Purdue isn't just competing against Michigan State and Ohio State. It is competing against many schools. Given those numbers, it is very possible that Purdue's collective approaches 6 players without matching anyone. The matching market won't make the influence of NIL money disappear completely. As shown above, a collective can offer NIL money to a few players, but it risks not matching anyone. A collective can offer a similar amount to many players, but it risks overextending itself. A collective can reduce the amount so it can be offered to all recruits. This would cause the NIL money to become a general feature of the school, like the quality of the weight room, the number of academic tutors, or the amount of snow in winter. It is certainly true that schools which generally provide more NIL money will have a recruiting advantage, but it won't be an individual pay-for-play situation. The match would be more successful as part of a restructured recruiting process. The match must account for 200,000 high school football players who will graduate each year, of which roughly 3,000 will play FBS football. Many more will play FCS, Division II, and Division III football. The best way to accommodate large numbers of incoming athletes is to use a method similar to many academic programs. A common application would be the first step. The common application contains basic information about the player. Each player simply checks off the programs to which he would like to be considered, and the application is distributed accordingly. Like competitive universities, better athletic programs can expect to receive many common applications. Programs will screen the common applications and then choose players to submit secondary applications. Secondary applications have more specific information requested by the program. After reviewing secondary applications, programs invite selected players for an interview. The interview may or may not include a physical workout. Each team can combine interviews into several days, to which dozens of candidates may be invited. This format can be expanded to groups of schools, a conference, or a region. Hundreds of players can be invited to a combine at a large facility where 10, 20, or 30 schools interview athletes. Each school may interview many players, and each player may interview with many schools. There can be an SEC combine, a Northeast Regional combine, an Illinois State combine, or any other grouping. This process can drastically increase the number of interactions between schools and players. Player visits to individual campuses can be done at the player's convenience and does not have to be in conjunction with a formal interview. Interviews for football can be scheduled anytime between July and January of a player's senior year. The match would take place in late winter or early spring. After the match, rosters are set for the upcoming year. A critical piece in making this system functional is the scouting network. The common application creates a large number of potential players. Schools must be able to sort through the initial applicant pool so they can invite a reasonable number for secondary applications. A robust scouting service is needed to provide programs the information they need to screen the initial applicants. The matching system also provides a ready-made solution for players wishing to transfer schools. The transfer portal, as it currently stands, would no longer be necessary. Players wishing to transfer would simply re-enter the match as incoming sophomores, juniors, or seniors, joining the incoming freshmen from high schools. Consensus can dictate how often a player is allowed to re-enter the match during his collegiate career. Finally, a matching market is not a rigid proposal. It is a flexible system. Many features can be customized or incorporated to suit the wishes of those involved. Anyone judging the feasibility of a matching market should understand that many potential options exist. The current system by which high school athletes are recruited into college programs is cumbersome and easily exploited by collectives wishing to recruit student athletes based on NIL money. A matching system would be more time efficient, allow schools and players to have better exposure to each other, and mitigate the effect of NIL money. A matching market would represent a vast improvement over the current system. All stakeholders in collegiate athletics should strongly consider it.